So last night I was watching the Thunder game, and I had my, that black Oklahoma City fitted hat that I have.
Yeah.
It's my gangsta hat.
Yeah, it is.
It's almost a Fred Durst, but black. I had it on, and I would turn it around backwards, and I would put the back, which was now the front.
Yeah.
I'd put the bill up, and then I'd point the front down, like over my eyebrows, and I'd make this face, like. And anytime the Thunder would mess up, I'd just go, fuck. And I was trying to be cool, which didn't really work.
Fuck.
So yeah, that game, boy, not to be too topical, but
no,
yikes.
that was a bad one.
Yeah, this will come out about a week after the series is over, so hopefully we bounce back and win. It's 1-1.
Hey, we did. It's the future. Let's just say we did.
We won.
We won.
We did it.
Or fuck. We lost.
Well, speaking of, my dad just got his first cell phone, first smartphone, I should say. He's had a flip phone Samsung job, jitterbug, whatever, for years and years. And
Nokia block phone.
Yeah, with the big buttons. But he recently got his first iPhone, and I had to teach him how to text, and it's adorable.
That's so funny.
But he sends me the dumbest shit all the time, and I love it. Don't get me wrong, I love my father to
Entertaining.
death. The other day, we're going through some severe weather here in Oklahoma right now. A lot of tornadoes, high winds,
thunderstorms, sort of thing,
rain, lightning, all that good stuff. He sent me a photo of a tornado the other day, and he said, "Yeah, your cousin Cliff sent that to me." That's how I read my dad's text. Yeah, hey Rob, your cousin Cliff sent that to me. Who Cliff is like my cousin, and he's this like hillbilly. He looks like one of those duck people.
Do you see him a lot, or
no? Not really.
Not really. Okay,
but he's a grizzled man, older than me, and
a
rural man, exactly. So I click the photo to look at it, and I zoom in, and there's clearly a watermark over it, like iStock photo or something. And my dad was like, "Yeah, he took that last weekend," and I was like, I didn't have the heart to tell my dad, "You're being lied to."
Yeah.
So
do you not see a thing that says stock,
like Shutterstock with like the white grid, where if you zoom in, you can clearly see it.
That's hilarious.
And he's funny. I actually started an Instagram. It's at Texts of Dad, and I don't really. I'm not trying to promote it because it's really more for me.
Sure.
It's like an online scrapbook, but I take screenshots of some of the texts my dad sends me.
Oh, yeah, they're great.
And I like to upload them. And, it's fun to get a random like here and there. But, yeah, you gotta love dads.
Gotta love them.
Does your dad have a cell phone?
My dad does. My dad actually...
I keep saying cell phone. I mean smartphone.
A smartphone. It was a few months ago. I was just out there visiting like you do. And my dad comes in and he goes, hold on, son. And he gets out of his recliner, which he rarely does. And he comes out of the room, and I'm like, what the hell? And he comes back in with this phone. It's in the, what do you call that? With the hip case?
The dad holster?
Yeah, it's in one of those. And he's like, I upgraded my phone. I got a new one, man. You want this one? And it would have been a really cool phone a few years ago. But it's this like Motorola, what have you. And I was like, cool, what'd you get? He's like, oh, I don't know. I don't even know how to work it. And he can't even he knows how to turn it on. That's about it. He doesn't know what apps are. I'm like, then why did you get a smartphone? Like, you don't need it. But he's really savvy with the iPad. He got himself an iPad like a year ago. And he's just flipping through. He's a Craigslister like me, except he Craigslist cars, which he never buys. So kind of like we are, we'll go through Craigslist and look at shit. He does the same thing. But he'll still ask me, like, how do I look this up? How do I download? How do I search this? Like, I heard, how do you bookmark? What's a bookmark?
Right.
I'm like, dads. My mom, for the longest time, still had like a flip phone, and she didn't want to get a smartphone.
Right.
And she did, and now she's always complaining, like, it's so slow.
Right.
And my sister, like, because you download so many damn things,
and
like
you never
games.
Close.
No, you got to close that shit out.
My stepmom, luckily she had the iPad before they both made the jump from their flip phones. About I don't know, probably about a year ago at this point. So luckily she kind of knew how to work an iPad.
She's a little acclimated to okay.
But the other day I was out there and she was like, "Can you fix my iPad for me? It's running real slow." She had like 8 city building games going at once.
Jeez.
Like those Clash of Clans and all that shit.
Yeah.
Like 8 of them. I'm like, listen, woman, do you realize how taxing that is on the memory of this unit? I slapped her. No, but I was just like,
With the iPad.
Yeah, I just hit her over the head with it. But yeah, I was like, well, you got to close these. Look, I was like, double tap here, swipe up here, and close out some of this shit, because it's woman, you're overloading your iPad.
Yeah.
But yeah, my dad's adorable. He sends me these photos, and he'll send me text messages. Like the other day, he sent me this one that says, "Hey, is this the dude? I'm the dude." And I'm like, what does that mean? Yeah. And so I texted
some sort of like code, like a
he loves and just recently saw The Big Lebowski for the first time.
For the first time.
Wow. And he's the kind of dad, and I'm sure your dad's probably the same, or there's some dads out there that are the same, where boy, he catches that shit on that free HBO weekend.
Oh yeah.
DVRs it and then watches it like 10 times.
Yeah, my dad's the same way.
So every time I call my dad, here I'm gonna act like I'm my dad. Okay, you call me, you're me, I'm my dad. Okay. Ring. What up? Is this the dude?
What?
This is the dude. I'm just duding around, dude. He loves dude. He loves dude, and I love that dude.
Oh, that's precious. That's adorable.
Dads are tight. And earlier, a minute ago, you mentioned the dad recliner.
Yeah.
And dude, I mean,
your dad has one. I mean,
oh yeah. I'm to the point in my life where I want the dad recliner.
Dude, I do too.
I really want a place I can just launch a million farts into,
dude,
and just kick back and watch the Thunder game.
Yeah. Well, speaking of dads and recliners, about 2 years ago, maybe not even that long, my dad upgraded his furniture set.
Did he go down to Mathis Brothers?
Went down to Mathis Brothers. Well, actually, I think he went to the BX because he still gets the military. And he claims that it's so fucking great. Yeah, you don't pay tax, but it's still expensive.
Right.
Anyways, so he got a new furniture set, and it's like he gave me his old couch, and it's this really nice wall-hugging dual recliner where there's two recliners on each side.
But they hug the wall, so you don't have to move it out to recline.
And so you slide out, and it's so nice.
Leather.
Oh, man. And it's nice, but there's two. I want my own. There's something about that puffy, lazy boy.
Absolutely.
You just, it feels so nice getting in one of those.
What's awesome about them, like in the winter, you can get in one of those, and like you're watching your movie or your TV show or whatever, sporting event, and you get a blanket on you.
Oh, yeah.
And they get real warm. And then in the summer, like you come in from outside and you sit on them and they're cold.
Yeah.
Oh, nothing like it.
But that's the downfall of leather. Like in the summertime, it's sticky.
It can be sticky.
But wintertime, it's cold. Yeah. So yeah, it's the opposite.
It can be either or.
Sure.
But man, they're great.
Yeah.
So this episode, we have our friend Ben Childers from Anthem Brewing. We actually met with him a couple weeks ago and discussed a little business, and they were nice enough to give us some beer, kind of a sponsorship, so to speak.
Sure.
Lubricant for the guests.
A beverage sponsor.
Yeah, so check them out at anthembrewing.com. And the cool local company, not a huge operation, but they're growing, and it's awesome. Like when we went to the brewery, I was just like, man, this is so cool. And we talk about that a little bit on the show. And if you're listening to this and you enjoy what you hear,
which you are enjoying what you're hearing,
I hope so.
I hope so.
They made it this far. Please do us a favor and review, subscribe, do whatever you can. Give a like on whatever social media platform. It's really cool for us when somebody like gives us a review on iTunes, because it helps us kind of rise to the top. Having a name like Boys, there's a million podcasts with the word boys in it.
Yeah, it sets us apart from the,
Yeah, so if you would, you don't even have to type anything. You could just fill out the stars to whatever you think is appropriate, and then you could write cool, good ep, whatever, decent. I know these guys, whatever.
Yeah, we've been getting a lot of shares too on Facebook and what have you, and that's awesome. If you really enjoy it and you want more people to hear about it, share it.
And it really these internet likes and shares, of course they don't really weigh out to much in the big scheme of things, but it makes us feel good about doing this. We're taking some time to create some stuff here for ourselves and for our friends.
Well, it's showing us that we're not just talking to air, and like people are actually enjoying what we're doing, and it makes you feel good that you're doing something that people are actually give a shit about. Yeah,
not to brag in any sort of way. We're just getting our feet on the ground here, but the response has been overwhelmingly positive. I know we've got some growing to do, but that's the beauty beauty is, once we get to episode 10, episode 25, episode 50, we're going to get to look back and see this growth. And whoever's listening to this, you know who you are, and you're just as much a part of this as anybody else. So thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much.
And without further ado, now we'll get to the episode.
This episode of Boys is brought to you by FatBison.com. Fat Bison Workshop is a tattooed guy in the middle of nowhere who makes custom hand-carved hardwood signs built to order. Mention the Boys podcast and get free shipping. FatBison.com. Custom hardwood signs. Bold, simple, naturally beautiful.
Well, sorry the beer isn't cold.
Yeah, that sucks, man. The fridge.
I'm going to get started here. Just going to create a nice backdrop here.
Just swing and a miss, number one.
Yeah.
No cold beer when the beer guy comes.
So, tonight we're joined by Ben Childers from Anthem Brewing Company. And you were gracious enough, and Anthem was gracious enough to give us some free beer. And I went to put it in our new mini fridge. And I was in here doing some mic tests earlier, and I turned the fridge temperature, like I made it not as cold because that fridge hums just a little bit, and it was being picked up in the mics. So I turned it down, and
you forgot to turn it back up.
My dumb ass forgot to turn it back up.
You fucked up.
And now we have kind of cold beer.
It's
Lukewarm.
it resembles cold.
Slightly.
Slightly.
It tries.
Hey, it's drinkable.
It's drinkable.
That's all I'm saying.
Lukewarm.
So, Ben, thanks for that.
Oh, no problem.
And we're just going to jump right in here. So you just celebrated your first year at Anthem.
I did.
Congrats.
Today's the day.
And tell me how that came to fruition. How'd you get hooked up with those guys?
Long ago, when Anthem first started, that would have been back in 2012. I was just kind of a dude who was just getting into craft beer a little bit. I had been drinking a little craft beer since I'd say around like 2007, 2008 or so. But I wasn't really involved in the culture and what was going on and like the local guys and all that. So I started homebrewing and got hooked up with a couple people. We became buddies and everything. And out of the blue, I got just invited through some of the people I knew out to do a little like get together one night. And they're like, just come to this dude's house and come hang out. And, we're going to drink some beer. I show up at this guy's house, and like not only is it just some of the dudes that I had met and were kind of drinking with, but it was like a whole group of dudes who ended up being like the founder of Prairie, the founder of Anthem, and some of the dudes, the guy who runs Okanor, and like a couple of the dudes who were really deep into the culture. Okay. So I got kind of ingrained with those guys over a couple of years, and we all spent time drinking together and hanging out, drinking beer, and just having fun. And so I started helping at Anthem when they got opened up, and was kind of volunteering with them and just kind of helping them on an events basis, basically pouring beer, talking about beer, and doing stuff for them when they needed it. And that developed for a little bit, and then I went off and worked for some other people for a long time while Anthem was going through all of its growing pains, kind of, because Anthem had a tornado hit our original facility.
Yeah, I remember that.
Put Anthem out of business for 18 months. So
Jeez.
There wasn't a lot going on there. So in that time frame, I was off doing some stuff with Prairie and with Marshall Brewing out of Tulsa and helping them out when they needed things in Oklahoma City because they were all based in Tulsa. And then a couple of years came along, and Anthem went through a major change in personnel and facility and growth, basically, and needed some new people. And I applied when there was an opening for a position. It was a sales and marketing job, and I didn't get that position. But after the interview process and everything, they were like, "Well, we're going to go ahead and open up another job, and we're just going to give that to you." No,
very nice.
No interview process or anything for that. So I worked part time with them for like 3 months or so, and then they gave me a full time job this week last year. Which last year this was Oklahoma Craft Beer Week. So there were events everywhere, all over the state, all over Oklahoma City, all over the place, and culminated with Oklahoma Craft Beer Festival at the end of that week. And my very first week on the job, I put over 100 hours in that week.
Wow.
And,
Damn.
it was the trial by fire. All right, you want to do this? Here you go.
Threw you right in.
Yeah, threw me right into it. So.
Isn't that craft festival coming up soon?
June.
June.
June
Okay.
17th and 18th.
You guys are definitely involved in that?
Oh, yeah. We'll be
awesome.
there. Absolutely.
I was wondering about that. A buddy of mine, I think I may have told you about this before. A buddy of mine, Jake, we went to Dallas for a not necessarily for the festival we went, and it was like a fucking festival with like tents, and you get a little it's bigger than a shot glass.
Little cup.
Yeah, a little cup, and you can go around to each one. They pour you a little thing, and they give you a stamp, and and it tells you what you drank. So you keep doing that. It was the coolest thing ever, and we weren't there very long, because we were there for a show and kind of left. But 2 hours that we were there, you see people just like start getting real lit real quick. So does the one in Oklahoma City, is it like that kind of a vibe, or is it probably definitely more smaller scale?
It's a little smaller. I want to say in the past couple years, attendance has grown to about 5,000 people across 2 sessions. So this year it's 3 sessions and it's across 2 days. So that's the first time we've gone to 3 sessions and a 2-day format. So it'll be a Friday night, a Saturday afternoon, a Saturday night.
Cool.
So I think they're still saying 5,000 people, but I would assume it's going to get bigger than that. Probably about 100 breweries or so.
Wow.
And a lot of beers.
So are they breweries from like the Midwest, or are they from all over? Or is it all Oklahoma, or
It'll
what?
be all of Oklahoma, plus all of like the breweries who distribute their beer here.
Okay.
So not necessarily will those breweries be represented by their own staff, but the people who distribute their beer in the state will have a booth that represents those people.
Okay.
So they'll be serving their beers and talking about them, doing the whole thing. So
That's awesome.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, yeah, you get your little cup and basically get 3 hours worth of just drink all you can and go around and try everything you can get your hands on. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. I think we usually bring like 12 to like 18 beers to this thing of our own. So it's fun.
Well, we stopped by the brewery, like last weekend, and had some samples, talked a little business, got to hang out. And I've never been to a brewery before. So it was really cool for me. I mean, we didn't take the tour, the tour was already going on when we got there, but I've seen breweries on TV, of course, but I've never been to one. And I didn't realize the massive scale, because there's a huge difference between that operation and somebody like home brewing.
Right.
I've got a buddy of mine. Tim. He's really into home brewing, and he's into it. I mean, he's got 2 or 3 of the refrigerators with I don't even know what I'm talking about, but like tubes going everywhere, and like gauges and these weird
Like
glass.
that goddamn Dr. Frankenstein.
It looks like a chemistry lab in there, and he ramped it up over the last few years. He started out with just a single small setup, and now his whole garage is full.
Yeah.
And he makes quite a bit of beer. Obviously, he's not distributing it,
Right,
Except to a couple friends,
Right, yeah.
But yeah, walking into Anthem, I was really surprised. Like, first thing I noticed was the Jason Pauley painting on, and
It's gorgeous.
yeah, he's a cool dude. In fact, I want to get him on the show someday.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
but yeah, I saw that and I was like, okay, this is cool. And then we sat down and you were working that day, and we sampled a couple different beers, and I was like, man, this is cool. Like I've talked about it before. Like, I love getting out of my element and getting into a new situation and being in a place where I haven't been before. And to me, that was totally it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I love beer. I mean, that's no secret. But
But
there's
never been to a brewery.
Never been to a brewery. My wife and I, we went to Colorado when we got married, and I didn't go to Fat Tire. Is that the one?
New Belgium.
New Belgium Brewery. Yeah.
Now, if you have been amazed by the size of our brewery, go to theirs.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's enormous.
I hear really cool things, and we were on this like time crunch, so we didn't get to go. And I actually had it. I had the Danny Tanner clipboard of fun when we went to Colorado, basically, and it was on the clipboard of fun. But we just didn't have time to make it. But I really regret not going. But you were my first, and I'll never forget you, Ben.
Yes.
And
we
he
know
was-
each other
and he was
most of our
gentle.
lives, and I was, able to do that for you. So
That's right. Finally. Well, speaking of, I mean, we all went to high school together. Now, were you at Choctaw Junior High or Nakoma Park
I was at
Junior High?
Choctaw.
Okay. I
Yeah,
couldn't
there's a
remember.
difference. We hear that a lot. We're both
Yeah.
Choctaw Junior High. So
Yeah.
we're all Choctaw
as was
Junior
I.
High.
I actually went to Choctaw Elementary too.
Okay.
Which there's almost no people who went
No.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, for
everyone
those
is
who are
from the
listening, we're from kind of a smaller town. It was
Very small
It was
town.
small back. It was small back then. Now
It's so like I said on a previous podcast, I said that going to LA made everything seem like there's just too many fucking people in the world. There's just too many of them. And I grew up in a small town and thinking that it's nice. There's no one there. And then I go for holidays, see my family. And every time I go, it's bigger
Right.
and bigger and more expansive. So this little small town is now becoming like a city.
Yeah. Hey, man, they got a Walmart.
but there's still nothing to do there.
No.
Right? I was totally thinking that when I was leaving last time. I was driving out. I'm like, yeah, they have all these new neighborhoods and these nice houses and stuff. They're building neighborhood upon neighborhood. And you got a Walmart, but yeah, there's still jack shit. They probably go to the Sonic. The kids probably go to the Sonic.
But that's the way we were raised, that kind of small town.
Yeah.
And by no means do I mean like a podunk town. We weren't like, it wasn't like dirt roads and a general store. But,
Right.
you know, we had the skating rink.
Yeah. Skating rink, and there was the little plaza with the Mazzios and the Pizza Hut and the
Skating
Subway in
rink
it.
still stands. That's
Oh, yeah,
the
it's
one
still
thing
there.
that from,
And it's still the
that's
same
still there.
size. It looks very small
They
still.
didn't expand. I want to go in and just see if they still have the same arcade setup.
What if
Right.
there's still a slush puppy machine in there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoyed many a slush puppy there. I loved going to Rollerland
That's what you did on the weekends.
That was all.
It's all we had.
I would go Friday and Saturday,
Oh,
and
yeah.
luckily I lived like half a mile from there. So if my parents weren't able to take me, guess what? I walked my ass
walk.
to the skating rink.
Yeah.
through you know, I had my own skates. I wasn't gonna rent that shit. I had the cool you know. I remember wiring Christmas lights, like portable
geez.
Christmas lights with like a 9-volt battery.
Fancy.
Man.
Put some electrical tape under there, tucked it all in. I thought it was so cool.
That is pretty cool, man. I rented. I was a poor kid, so
Yes,
I mean,
same.
poor, but
That, and I was amazed by people who knew how to skate or like
Oh.
could do tricks. And
no
stuff.
idea.
Or
No, the backwards. I could
Backwards.
never. I attempted a couple few times and fell on my ass every time.
I could barely make turns.
Yeah.
Could you shoot the duck?
I don't even know what that means.
The shoot the ducks where you get down on one knee and you put your leg out, right?
Like okay, imagine sitting on your left foot, but your wheels are still on the
Alright.
ground, and then your
Yeah.
right foot's like out in front.
No.
Yeah.
And your back
Yeah.
wheels are on the ground.
No.
Oh man.
No.
The shoot the duck.
That's all we had.
Shoot the ducks.
all we had.
Snowball was my favorite.
Oh, is that where a guy comes in your mouth?
Yeah, when a guy comes out of the thing. That did not have. Do you guys there?
Is that where you trade it to? You like spit it into each other's mouth?
And then what they call the snowball, where like a couple dance where the girl picks the guy.
I think it was.
I think it was.
and you line up against each wall. And then, as a fat kid, you're never picked, so
It's
you just
like-
kind of just go play Mortal Kombat by yourself.
I was like, dude, did you get picked? Because
No,
I didn't.
No, I went to go play Mortal Kombat.
You're like the
that.
machine's free, and you just skated over
Fatality.
there like at a medium speed,
Right.
and
Everybody's
ran
over there like love songs and
Yeah.
skating, and we're fatality.
Fatality.
Finish it.
Just me, and that's me getting my ass kicked.
Well, and they also had the blackout where you could only get on the rink, in the rink, whatever, if you had a glow stick, because they turned all the lights off. And of course, that was the time where all the cool kids like made out.
That's where raves started, probably.
Yeah, probably.
It's
Yeah.
our fault.
So
We didn't get
again,
that.
I was at the Mortal Kombat machine.
Yeah. I'm down with that.
But yeah, you're totally right. Like it is growing. And just to go back, yeah. Okay, so we all went to junior high and high school together, Choctaw, and then there was kind of a rival, if you want to call it that, elementary and junior high,
Nakoma Park.
and then both of those junior highs went to the same high school.
Yes.
There were a few kids that went to like some surrounding high schools, but that was kind of where everybody met. And there was always this kind of rift, like, are you a Choctaw or Nakoma Park? And I'll tell you this, I'm going on the record. The Nakoma Park kids were fucking pricks.
Yeah,
They were snooty. They
really were.
They had more money than us.
true.
Their junior high was nicer.
But can we say this?
true.
Some of like the punk, the alternative scene kids, they were kind of cooler than us, or they looked cooler. They had the
Okay.
look.
All right, they were a little more aggressive than we were.
Yeah, they were a little
maybe,
aggressive
but,
with the look.
Hey, a lot of us made it farther though.
That's true.
Dude, I know. And like, in no way am I a young, well, I'm not young. In no way am I a professional, and in no way am I rich. But man, thank God for Facebook sometimes, because it
Right.
reminds you what could have been.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If you would have done those drugs, or if you would have, just knocked somebody up when you were real young, or whatever.
Do you ever get the Facebook request from someone you went to school with, or
Absolutely.
maybe
Oh, yeah.
a girlfriend from the time, and you have that moment of going, "Do I accept just to see where has your life taken?"
No.
Or do you just or maybe sometimes in their profile pic just tells 1,000 words.
Yeah.
Like,
I-
I'm good.
I-
You
all I
got
needed
8
to
kids
see.
in your arm. I
I'm
don't.
good.
I leave them in purgatory, as I call it. Just leave them.
Just leave them there.
Yep.
I'm
Just
so
leave 'em.
bad about that too. Yeah, if you haven't if you friend requested me and I haven't accepted it, it's because you're just sitting there and I'm just like, nah.
But you have to admit that you take a look, you dive in,
Yeah, you give it
you
a
have a
peek.
look around, and then you back out slowly.
Yeah.
Like that gif of Homer Simpson backing into the hedge.
trees.
Yeah. Like, nope.
No.
Dodge that bullet. And I saw her on Facebook and I was like, ooh, 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 ooh. Why does everybody get so red and like shiny?
I don't know.
I think that's what having like 5 kids does to you. Or do you have any? You don't have any
Might.
kids, right? No.
No.
Ever? Have you ever?
Have you ever had kids? No. I don't want any, man.
So you're like us, and you kind of you got out of that with no casualties or anything clinging on.
Yeah, I escaped Choctaw
You
without
escaped.
being married at 18 and having kids.
Yeah, that's rare.
And it's weird. Like, okay, Matt Street, my buddy Matt, he lives in Choctaw.
Yeah.
And, you know, he moved away and now he's back. And for the longest time, I was like, man, fuck going back to Choctaw. Like, no. But dude, every time I go out to his house, I'm like, I think I could live out here. Now that I'm older,
I still can't.
you couldn't go back?
No. Every time I go out to my parents' house, I still just feel that dread.
Really?
Of being out there. I'm like, I hate this place. I hate it.
Just the fear.
See, I did that for a
awful.
long time, but then just
can't.
recently I'm like, man, I kind of like it out here. It's quiet.
It's just houses and churches and pizza.
So many
and
churches.
Gas
What is it? Is it-
stations. And I'm like,
There's
worst.
probably more than one now, but there was a distinct corner
Yeah.
on
Right
Choctaw
by-
Choctaw Road
Reno and
Reno,
Choctaw
and there was a
Road, isn't
church
it?
on
Every
every
corner.
corner.
there was a church on 3 corners.
that's now all of them.
There's a 4th?
Yeah,
That's-
that one that was a wooded area.
Yeah, they,
put
like,
a
filled
church
it in.
there. Yeah.
See, I grew up like a quarter of a mile north from there, right in this little addition right there. And yeah, we would walk to church. Like our family would get up and walk to church because it was right across the street. And yeah, there was the Baptist, the Assembly of God, and then the other one. I
Church
can't
of
remember.
God.
Church of Christ or
Church
something
of
like that.
Church of Christ,
right?
yeah.
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 But now that there's 4,
I don't even know what the other one is. It's like, did they throw
It's
like
probably some
did
life
they put
church.
a Mormon in there or something, or a
Probably one of those
or
like fake. I don't want to call it fake, but like Life Church Light.
Nazarene. Maybe there's
Maybe a Nazarene. There's
church.
probably a Nazarene
Maybe.
over there. I'm
Might
sure.
be.
There's so many churches.
Well, but then you travel like two miles north of that, and there's like several right, like kind of in
Yeah.
the downtown
Downtown
area.
Choctaw.
There's
Yeah.
so many fucking churches, and why?
I don't know.
Why don't they all just unite into one?
Yeah.
you know.
How are there enough people in Choctaw to go to all those churches?
That dude, I thought that as a kid. That's actually probably one of the first things that kind of got the wheel spinning in my head that I probably don't believe in this shit anymore. It was like, wait, there's. If we all believe the same thing, why are we all meeting at the same spot?
and just make this like mega church.
Yeah, but
which is the thing now.
But now it's money. Then you start realizing, because it's money, and there are churches that do that. That's called Life Church and New Church and all these other churches. They just make a buttload of money.
Cool churches.
Cool churches.
Right?
Have
Hey,
you
listen,
guys?
I'm hip, guys. I'm with it. I got a goatee. I'm like you.
I wear sparkly jeans.
I wear sparkly jeans.
Oh, with the bedazzled
Yes,
ass.
bedazzled ass
Yeah.
jeans, and one of those big cross shirts with more bedazzling. on
Kind of
them, right?
kind of looks like MMA.
Yeah, yes,
but
yeah,
yeah.
it's- yeah.
Have you guys ever been to one of those mega huge
Yes.
churches?
Yes.
Ben, you gotta go,
No.
man.
Dude.
You gotta go.
No.
Just for the spectacle.
Never.
It's like going to the flea market.
It is, dude. It is. I lived in Edmond with some friends who I met through other friends. But okay, so it was their house they grew up in, but they rented it from their parents, and they were like early 20s. But a stipulation of living there was you had to go to church on Sunday. My
Okay.
rent was so stupid cheap, and it was a nice house in Edmond. It's like, you know what? Fine, I'll do it. So Saturday night we'd throw huge parties and get lit, just terribly lit, and then we would go to Life Church in Edmond.
right.
And I walk in hungover. Thank God for free coffee and cookies and stuff. So I'm in there, and like I
Thank
walk
God,
in.
literally.
Hey, big ups. So I walk in expecting like church, like Christ is all I need on the piano, and
The
just
fat
just-
lady with the secretary
Yeah,
spread, just
no.
hammering out the classics.
No, I walk in, and what I see is a stage with lights going off and fog machines, and this praise band rocking the hell out. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. All right. For Sunday morning. And then the preacher comes in, with his bedazzled jeans and his black polo shirt, like, hey, listen, guys, I'm just gonna shoot you straight. I'm not gonna kiss your ass here. And like, ooh, he cussed. He's
so hip.
He's so hip. And it just was it was so weird. It was the weirdest fucking thing. But now they're everywhere. That's what people think when they think church, are those mega churches.
Well, and the crazy thing is you and I both, one thing Josh and I have in common is we both are into like gear, like guitar gear, pedals, amps, things like that.
Oh, dude.
And we both like to buy and sell things on Craigslist a lot. And I bought a pedal off of a guy probably 6 months ago, and we were like emailing back and forth. I shot him an offer. He's like, yeah, I'll take that. Why don't you come by my office? Turns out he was like the praise director at one of these huge Life churches. And he's like, oh, it's at the Life Church on Northwest Expressway. Why don't you just come by? I was like, okay, cool. So I go in there, and he's like showing me his gear and his pedal board, and it's just like thousands of dollars worth of stuff.
It's crazy.
And I remember when I was a kid, like I was in the praise and worship band at Choctaw Road Baptist Church. Right. If it wasn't for that, I never would have picked up a guitar.
Right.
But we were hammering out 3 chords on a shitty Chinese acoustic guitar. It wasn't a $1,000 overdrive pedal.
Yeah, where I work, we see that. I mean, our bread and butter is praise and worship guys. So like, but their gear, like they'll tag us on Instagram, and you'll see, hey, here's the pedal, and then just 3 or 4 Dr. Z amps and like 4 pedal boards worth. Like, what?
Where does this
I
come
got
from?
in the wrong business.
Tithing, right?
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it is a weird experience, and it's funny because I'm not religious. I don't look. Excuse me. I don't look down on it. I don't really make fun of it, other than like maybe the bedazzled jeans. But it's when I did go to one of those churches, I was so out of my element that it was kind of interesting. Like it surpassed it was surreal. Like all these people, and I did feel something in the air, but I also do that when I hold my breath for too long, or drink too much. But it was very interesting. So I do implore you, maybe someday, wake up real early on a Sunday.
Or don't. Well,
Probably
no,
not
now
going to happen.
Now they have like different start times. Have you ever driven? I mean, you see it all the time. You can't drive down anywhere and not see a church thing that says Sunday services 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m. Like, why they have like 7 different services?
It's like movie showings. They're getting the butts in the seats to get more money.
Give me that 10%.
I like it.
They should start selling popcorn at inflated prices.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
might be.
I guarantee you they do. Christ
Concession
corn.
stand right outside.
Like I just
Probably.
imagine
Yeah.
all the
Probably.
hymnals have just like buttered fingerprints all
man.
over them.
Oh man.
It's so gross.
Yes. Movie
How do we get on the
vampire.
topic of churches?
I don't know.
Oh, Choctaw. Growing up in Choctaw. Okay.
Choctaw.
The Choctaw way.
The
It got us
Choctaw.
again.
Making out the Choctaw way.
It got us again.
So after high school, what did you get into? So
man.
we got a lot of ground to cover here.
Yeah,
so
we do. And
I know
figured
you were
this is,
involved with a lot of bands and stuff.
I was. So for a while there, just staying in Choctaw for a bit, nothing really happened. I just hung out with the same people, kept going to the same stuff, doing college and everything. A little ways into that, oddly enough, I started working at GameStop, and you were at Game Exchange. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, right down the street from each other. So
Rivals.
Yeah, we
Rivals.
were, and there was some bad blood in that whole rivalry.
There was.
That was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Overused video games.
Overused video games and your practices,
Right, right.
and what you did with them. That's oddly enough.
I got a story, but go ahead.
Okay, so we did that. We kind of worked in that for a little bit. In college, I was in a student program on Tinker Air Force Base. So was working out there with a bunch of guys. Oddly enough, it was a lot of Choctaw people who had all ended up out there together, and which has nothing to do where the bands came in at, but we were all out there together, so it was odd. One of the guys there, and he was probably, let's see, if I started out there at like 20-ish, he was probably in his early 30s. He was probably about as old as we are now.
Okay.
And he was in a band. At the time, that band was called Bent. And was just like, come out to one of our shows sometime, come check it out. And at that time, I had barely even started getting into like heavier music. That was kind of, I didn't pick up on metal and things until I was probably early 20s into early college stuff. And that was kind of the start of it, as I was just getting into those things. And he was like, yeah, I'm in like a heavy metal band. Why don't you come check it out? And I'm like, okay, cool. This is just a dude I work with, whatever. Right. This is going to be, garbage. So
you just have to show up
yeah,
once.
I'm just going to show up and go hang out, and I go out there, and I think the very first one I went to, they were opening for Wasp. One of the old metal bands way back, and at Bricktown Live. So I get out there and we watch the show and kind of hang out, and I'm like, these guys are actually pretty good. This wasn't terrible, not at all what I expected. So I went to a couple more shows. We just started hanging out and got to be buddies. And he's like, all right, so we're going through a huge thing with the naming rights and all that. So we're going to change our name, and the name changed to Horse Called War. It's a song by Zakk Wylde, Black Label Society, one of their old songs off of Pride and Glory. And so they changed it to that. We kept going. Eventually, it was like, hey, you're coming to all the shows and everything. Why don't you work? You want to start working for us, make a little cash or whatever. So I take over running merch for them. So start going to all the shows and doing merch and everything. And eventually, this got big enough to where we were making enough money off of our merch. We were getting big shows here. We were opening for Lamb of God and doing with like Children of Bodom and, all the big acts that would come into town, we'd be on the bill. So, we're getting a lot of national recognition off this, and those guys are really liking us, picking us up, and saying, get on the shows with us and everything. We're like, okay, that's cool. And eventually that turned into touring. So I became tour and stage manager for this band, and did that for like 10 years.
That's crazy.
So
I remember the band, the name. I remember seeing it more and more and more. And then I saw your picture with one of the guys on. I don't even remember what it was. It might have been MySpace, even,
could have been
early Facebook or whatever. Sure. And I was like, "That's Ben. I know Ben."
Yeah.
I was like, "Is he?" I was like, "Are you a singer?" I was like, "No. He's like the tour manager. Holy shit!" So. What were these, like regional tours?
Yeah,
or like
we did regional. We played in basically every state that connects to Oklahoma.
Okay.
So we never made it farther than that. We got pretty far. We put a couple albums out, and when it basically came time to make the big break, things just fall apart.
That happens 90% of the time.
As music happens, it comes the pressure to make that big album that's going to catapult you, breaks the thing apart. And that happened to us, and it fell apart. We had some good chances to get on a label. Unearth was going to pick us up onto their personal label that they have, and things just fell apart. They came here to watch us play. Our lead guitar's amp blew out in the middle of our set, and then a catastrophe of errors just fell apart from there, as he was no longer playing, and all the other band members were kind of like, what's going on?
Right.
And it kind of just broke down from there. And after the show, they were just kind of like, if you guys had kept going like that hadn't happened, this thing would be done. We've got the contract. It's ready for you to sign it.
Damn.
We're ready to go right now, but you shit the bed on stage. And that's that. So.
And it sounds like by no fault of their own. I mean, it was just a bad show.
It was a bad show, and we didn't act professional and keep it going. And they said, we can't do that. We're going to sign you guys, and we can't have you doing that. So.
Big learning experience,
right?
I'm sure.
Very much. And then it kind of fell apart from there. And we actually started another band later called Earthshook Run. Same singer from Horse and a couple of guys from a few other local bands that had all just been displaced. And we kind of just formed up a little group and put out an album that's actually on Spotify. And did a couple songs, did a couple shows, and then it just kind of went kersplat from there. But Horse still plays probably once a year.
That's cool. It's cool to keep it going.
Yeah. When a big show comes through or something, we sometimes still get the bill.
That's cool. So being on the road and being this tour manager, like the thing I would imagine the big takeaway is the experience.
Yeah.
Because it's not like you made a lot of money.
No, gosh.
It was obviously a labor of love.
Yeah.
I mean, some money I'm sure was made, but I would just imagine, I've never really been, I've been a musician with large air quotes for like most of my adult life. I started playing guitar when I was 15.
Yeah.
I actually just recently, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I quit the band I was in. It was all like good, like no hard feelings. But I played with these guys for 2 years. Fucking loved everybody in the band. The drummer and bass player brothers, close as hell with them. In fact, I was in a band with them years ago.
Yeah.
And the singer, Garrett, like loved the dude to death. I mean, he's one of my favorite people in the world. I met him when I joined the band, And he just quickly became like one of my best friends, great guy. So it was nothing at all personal. It was nothing at all musical, like no musical difference or anything. But to be honest, the last like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, my heart just wasn't in it anymore. So I know that feeling about like the band just sometimes disperses.
Yeah.
And we were going to practice, this was like 3 weeks ago, we were going to have practice, as we usually practice on Thursday nights. And we were all sitting out back having a beer before practice. And I was like, guys, we got to talk. And I gave him my spiel, and I was like, listen, my heart's just not in it. And I would be doing you guys a disservice if I stayed in the band because I don't want to hold anybody back. And it was great. Like no hard feelings whatsoever. I think the writing was kind of on the wall, but I would have felt like a total dick if I was just like phoning it in or like not showing up, know? And so there comes a time in your life where you just have to sometimes just make that heel turn, and it was hard, Ben. Mm-hmm. Best band I've ever been in by far. By far. We did the most of any band I was in for a long time. Yeah. My biggest fear was that they would break up. And I said, guys, you guys were a band before I joined. You can be a band after. I had a blast. I appreciate it, but I just can't do it anymore.
Right.
And I don't know. It's not that I don't want to play music. It's just I don't want to play music. Like, dude, jamming with the band is awesome.
Right.
But loading in gear at 1 a.m. on a Monday night after you drove home from Norman.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. And I got to work in the morning?
Well, the worse than that is going to a load-in at like 7 or 8 o'clock, and then you set it up and like, okay, you guys are probably going to play around 10:30 or 11. Okay, cool. And then you don't want to get drunk before the show, so you try to pace stuff, and you realize there's like 15 fucking people here.
Right.
And then it gets pushed back, and then you start at midnight.
Yeah.
And oh man. And luckily we always held it together. Like that was really good. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and it's funny because like 2 years ago when I joined the band, I never would have thought I would be saying those words. Like, what a fucking dad. Like, old man. Mm-hmm. But something changed in me and I was just like, it's not that it's not fun. It's not that it's not rewarding to write songs and play music and be part of this like group. But man, I was just tired of it. I was tired of, and I got real anxious about like like a show or recording where it stopped being fun, and it wasn't anybody's fault, and there was no hard feelings, but I just had to bow out. And luckily, I mean, and I told the guys, I mean, I was completely honest. I quit the band like pretty much when this podcast got started, but I told them, I said, guys, I'm not quitting the band to do the podcast. Right. This is easy. I invite somebody over, they sit down, and we talk for an hour.
Yeah, have a couple of beers
once
and
a week. Yeah. But this has always been kind of more of my baby. Like my heart's in this a little more.
Right.
And I told the guys, I was like, listen, I'm not quitting to do this podcast. It just so happens that I'm quitting and then doing this podcast.
It's not related.
It's almost like when the girlfriend breaks up. Yeah. Like the whole breakup thing of like, it's not you, it's me. But
we're still breaking up.
But we're still breaking up. Yeah. Like, it still sucks, but I got to work on me, man. You know what I mean?
But going back to the experience, it's like we had some fucking great times and wrote some good music. And, we were never anything huge, but we have a record. We played some decent shows. I still have the T-shirt that I proudly wear, It was a good time, but I just got to that point where I was like, man, I just can't lift amps anymore.
Yeah.
And it's sad. But we're getting older, man.
Because you didn't have a me to do that for.
I think that's the thing. Is like
exactly
turning it back to you. I think what might be your thing, and definitely mine. God knows I played my fair share of bands. Most of them terrible. But like, and it's an age thing. Like I'm 34. I don't know if I really want to do like put all that effort into something, or even basically, I don't want to be up at 1 o'clock in the morning on a Monday to play for 5 people because I'm tired. I got a job, got a real thing to do. But you were saying the dudes in that band, they were older dudes.
Yeah, they were our age now when we got started. And then by the time we were finished, they're in their early 40s.
Yeah.
Married, kids,
yeah,
jobs,
mortgage,
the whole thing. Yeah, the mortgages and all that, it's that breaks so many people apart. You find out you're
Oh,
just
for
not
sure.
making any money. The music industry is not kind anymore.
Oh, and
The big bands don't happen,
No, well, especially now. Like you make. Who was I listening to? I can't remember what podcast it was. They were talking about today. Now, band like it used to be the record deal. It's all about like band's gonna get signed, and then you sell records, and then when you sell records, the label fronts the money. You pay that back off of tour. Well, now you're not gonna make jack off your records. Jack off. But now bands just like they go on tour. Like that's where your money is.
Right.
Like you make your money on tour, and then if you make a couple of bucks off your record because it's going to be easily downloaded, like that's that. So it is definitely a young man's game now. Like you can't be 45 years old and trying to go on tour. You know.
you still have to pay all that back though.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's like that's still you're not making any money off the albums.
That's how a lot of
anymore
those bands
or anything, but you still got to pay that money back.
Right. Well, and think about this. If it's hard for big bands to sell albums nowadays,
Think about the little guy.
think about the guys that are just getting started. And like, we played a lot of like punk shows, like house shows and like weird like shop shows, like playing in somebody's garage or whatever. And these touring bands would come through, whether they were younger than us, older than us, whatever. But sometimes they'd be lucky to get $50, and you think, okay, you got 4 to 5 people getting from, let's say, here to Tulsa or here to Dallas with $50.
Yeah.
And they got to eat.
Yeah.
These gas in
people,
the van, all that.
these,
Fine.
these people are spending their own money.
Yeah.
And the thing is we've both been in a lot of bands, both of which were mostly terrible, as you said earlier. But I never. It's been a long time since I had that like feeling where like I want to buy the van. I remember when I was in one of my very first bands, 19 years old, talking to my dad, having this huge heart to heart, and like tears running down my face. Like, Dad, we need a van. This is it. This is what I want to do with my life. But we need a van so we can get out of Oklahoma City. And crying and just like begging him. And he was like, fuck no, which is great.
Yeah.
But
He was smart.
he was. The guy's done a lot for me, but he didn't buy the van. But honestly, it's just like, at this point in my life, it's like, I'm not going to buy the van,
Right.
And no offense at all to anyone my age or older that still has those aspirations. Mine just flickered out, and it is what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
happens
for sure,
It
for
is-
sure.
You just when you get out on the road, you realize the reality of all of this as well. We didn't have a van of our own. We rented one, so we would rent one from Caps down there in Moore,
Right.
And we would rent one for like $500, and then we have to pay all of our gas.
Yeah.
Got to do all of our stuff, and so we would drive all the way to. I'd say the farthest place we played was Slidell, Louisiana, which is right outside of New Orleans, and we made like $100. We drive all the way down there.
That's tough.
And they'd be like, "Here's your like 100," and they'd try to stiff you even on it. Sorry, we didn't make enough cash at the bar tonight, and no, we had a guarantee. You're paying. me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, did
so
you have to be like the muscle?
I was some of that,
Kinda?
oddly enough, and me, the smallest guy in the band, was just kind of left to deal with those negotiations. It was kind of my deal. So I would just go in there and talk them out of it until they give us our cash.
So you used you rolled for charisma instead of strength.
Yeah,
basically.
there was no strength. There was no bullying. I was just a smart man, and I would talk you, and you would eventually pay me.
Right. So what was it like being on the road with these metal dudes?
It's fun. I mean, we were a family, all of us got along for the most part, but we fought like a family at the same time. There were some of us who couldn't stand each other. There were, there were arguments and fights that go along with, 5 band members and another guy on the road together. So 6 dudes in a van.
And the smells.
And the
That's a lot,
smells
dude.
and
Yeah.
the peeing and the drunk and the, the drugs and everything else that go along with all that. So, I mean, it was a blast for me. I loved it. It was the highlight of my early years for sure, was driving around with a band.
Yeah.
I got to do that. Nobody else got to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
You
And
know?
it probably kept you in shape.
I was in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
And then I got fat, and then I got skinny again. And
Well, you're looking pretty svelte now, I gotta say.
I'm 40 pounds lighter than I was about a year or 2 ago.
How'd you
So
do it?
I quit working in a cubicle.
Seems to be a recurring theme on this
theme on
show.
the podcast. Yeah.
I've been working at not in a cubicle, so to speak, but in an office environment for the past 13 years.
Yeah.
And I recently graduated college, went back,
Woo.
yay me. But man, like on the last show, I think maybe it was the Alex show. It's funny. I kept saying Alex when it was Jake. Alex is his wife. But since Alex has a boy's name, I kept saying, I had to go in the last episode and keep editing out where I kept calling him Alex.
Oh, geez.
But he had no idea I was calling him Alex.
No idea.
Yeah.
He had no idea.
So it was funny. But anyways, so I haven't looked for a job in 13 years.
Yeah.
And dude, I mean, earlier I mentioned the secretary spread, which is a term I just learned about, so I keep saying it.
What is that?
It's a phenomena where
It's like the freshman 15?
it's kind of like that, but the secretary spread is a woman with a desk job. As she gets older, her ass gets wider because and it happens to men too. So I'm
you sit in a
not
chair.
sexist. A man can be a secretary.
So it's not going to keep its...
Like the Alicia
go-
Keys, like sitting on a
Yeah.
piano bench way too long.
Okay, I feel you.
Continues to
Secretary's-
grow.
But I'm the same way. I grew up. I was never chubby. I was never even chubby growing up.
No.
But like I packed on some fucking pounds, man. I got up to 198.
Hey,
like
me
I
too.
was really?
Yeah.
All right.
I was about up
Titty
to-
bros.
Titty bros.
But we just fist bumped. But yeah, I got up to 198, and dude, I was depressed, dude. And I don't know if I even told this. I think I might have already talked about this on the podcast. But dude, I was like depressed, and I was like eating shit every day.
Oh, please tell the story of what you ate, because
Drank
it's
a lot
hilarious.
of beer.
Yeah.
I drank more beer than I should have been drinking.
But that's what happens.
Yeah.
You drink beer and then you wake up and you feel like shit, so you eat to
Yeah.
feel better. Then you feel like shit. Then you go home and drink, and it's just this horrible cycle.
Yeah.
Every morning, Ben, on the way to work, I would stop at the on cue, and I would get 2 of those tornadoes.
Oh, man.
Not one, but 2. And a 32-ounce Dr. Pepper every single morning for about 6 months.
Man.
And the really sad part of it is this on cue was about a half a mile from my work, and I would down those 2 tornadoes from parking lot to parking lot. And then chase it with like a quarter of this 32-ounce beverage. And then just sit at my desk and
For
hate
8 hours.
myself. For 8 hours.
Just sit at a desk for 8 hours.
So, just to wrap up this little diatribe, I really want to get out of that fucking cubicle environment, man, because
Yeah.
I feel like it's just breaking my body down.
Dude, it killed me. Hard.
And now you're up.
Yeah. Now
And now
I'm
you're
up. Now I walk around.
Well, explain
now I do
what
everything.
you do at Anthem.
At Anthem, I am the taproom manager and our brand ambassador.
And that sounds so much fucking cooler than computer guy.
Computer dude at the credit union.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what does your job entail?
I run a lot of our branding, kind of all of our most of our social media pages, and I answer the phones and the emails and everything that come in to Anthem on the daily basis. So I'm kind of like our day-to-day voice with the public, and I manage our tap room. So I'm also kind of like the lead bartender there, as that kind of just falls under the management role. I'm there the most, so therefore I have to bartend.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot of that. I'm up moving around all the time now, lifting kegs, doing stuff like that, and it's helped a ton. But there were like 6 months after I started there, I was just in pain all the time.
Really?
Gotta get that body acclimated.
I had to get
yeah.
everything ready to get used to being up and moving
Yeah.
around again. It's like my back was a wreck. I was having problems of all kinds even before I'd left the cubicle job, of my back screwing up real bad. and
From
everything.
sitting.
From
From
sitting.
sitting.
Yeah, it's insane.
All day long.
Yeah.
I sat for 7 years.
Right.
And it just eventually got to the point where I was just a mess, and I was like, getting out of here is like the best thing physically I can do. I had a major knee injury in that time period. I went through a full surgery thing and everything. I was all torn up.
Fuck.
So now I feel tons better.
That's great.
That's awesome.
You
It's
escaped.
Great.
Yeah,
I
you
got
out.
away.
You got out.
Ran.
And dude, like when we came
Not
to
looking back.
you ran because you could. You got your knee fixed. My fucking knees work. I lost the tits. I can run again. No.
Exactly. It's awesome.
When we came to see you, I was like, man, what a cool gig this guy has. He's just like serving beer. There was a beautiful woman sitting next to me with very large breasts, and I really just couldn't leave. I'm a happily married man, but tits are tits, and these were beautiful. It was a warm or a late
a warm
spring
day.
day,
It was a great day,
and I was just like, I'll have another. I think I will have another.
have another.
It was wonderful, but I was like, man, what a cool job! You get to serve people beer, and I know you do a lot of behind the scenes stuff, but that part of it seems really cool.
It's fun.
Yeah,
It's a good
Oh,
deal.
leisurely. It's not like, I mean, I was a bartender for a while. It's not like you have to like pour cocktails. Like, I'll just pour
Right.
beers.
All I have
tap.
to do is pour beers.
What I love about what you guys do at the tap room is the samples. You're just like,
Yeah.
yeah, try one. There you go. Cool. What's up? Hang
Yeah.
out.
yeah, it's nice.
Try our beers.
That
That's what I
blew
like.
my mind. I was like, wait, I can have some of this? Yeah, I can have like a few drinks of this at a time. That's so great.
Well, let you. I mean, especially for a lot of people in Oklahoma. I'm not gonna like just pigeonhole everyone in Oklahoma and say they're just beer idiots, but they don't know. They don't. Especially Anthem. You don't know what it is, so you can go in, try it out, and most of the beers you have sampling are ones that you can't really go get anywhere right now, or they're
The
rarer.
Ones, some of the ones that we sample are the ones that we can't sell in the tap room because of Oklahoma state law forbids us from selling anything over 4% alcohol while you're in the tap room.
What's your take on the Oklahoma beer laws we got going on right now?
I tell you what, let's take a quick break and then we'll jump
come back
into
to that?
that.
Great.
We need another tasty Anthem beer.
Welcome back to Boys Podcast.
Hi.
Hi. However you check this out, keep checking us out on that, or you can just go to boyspodcast.com, take you to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that shit. I think we're on Stitcher. I've yet to find us on Stitcher, but I think we're on Stitcher.
We're on there. It's just with our name being kind of like a general name
There's so many podcasts that have boys in the title.
with a Z, with a 0, with a backwards B.
With a,
so
peace,
many-
a peace sign,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
So it's hard to find. But yeah, just go to boyspodcast.com.
With an S.
With an S, not a fucking Z.
Zeros.
Boys,
No zeros.
boyspodcast.com is the hub of all things.
Of all
here.
things.
There's also a donate button.
There is.
And speaking of, I would like to say thank you to our very first donator.
Donor.
Donator. Our very first donor. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I saw that in our email and I was like, holy shit, it's working.
Yeah,
You
we got
know?
a donor. That's rad.
He was our first. And much
Hey.
like Ben, I'll never
Yeah,
forget him.
never forget the first.
He was a different first. But yeah, you can just go there. There's a little PayPal button you can click. If you like what you're hearing and you want to throw us a few bucks, it'll help with bandwidth, equipment,
For sure.
things to keep this thing afloat.
Send us emails if you want to share any stories or your what you thought of it. If you're liking it, you can AIM us. I'm actually gonna download AIM from my phone so I can I'll fucking talk to you. I don't give a
What?
shit.
Is that still exists?
Oh, our email is boyspodcast@aol.com.
No.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No.
We're taking it way back,
Yeah.
man.
We had,
It exists. It's still a
You
thing.
need to put it on dial-up.
we should. We should. I wonder what a podcast would sound like over dial-up.
It's gonna take about
Bad.
3 days to download the podcast.
Yeah, a 1 hour episode.
And then we're all going to talk
Yeah.
broken, right?
Yep.
It's like
It's just going to be like stuttery and
Oh yeah,
Low bit rate.
A lot of latency. Yeah,
Yeah,
low bit rate.
yeah.
Like you recorded on a recorded WAV file back in the day on your Macintosh or whatever.
Yeah.
all right.
So where can people find? I mean, we said Anthem earlier. AnthemBrewing.com.
Yeah, that's the website. We have our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that. It's just like at Anthem Brewing. So
Did you secure all of them? You didn't
think
have to
we've
put
got
like an
them all.
underscore or anything like that.
no, we've
in
got
there?
them all just straight Anthem Brewing.
That's awesome.
So we've got it. So
Yeah,
that's
we've
the
got-
odd thing with that is we don't own the trademark on Anthem though.
Well, speaking of, Josh wanted to ask, what is the
Yeah.
thing
Okay. So
in the logo?
it's a face, right? Like an
Yeah.
alien head.
The
'Cause-
Imp.
The imp. Okay.
Is his name. So yeah, he's just kind of our little character.
I love it.
mean, we kind of call him a little space alien, yeah. And he kind of looks like the say you had like 2 pint glasses sitting next to each
Yeah,
other,
okay.
and those are like your little water rings that are left after you
Yeah.
pick it up.
I
Okay.
dig it. So now that I'm looking at it, I can definitely see the creators of Anthem. That was on a bar napkin, and they just started drawing. Like, that looks fucking dope. And just like, yeah, I like it.
Drew a couple of stars and
Yeah,
some
but-
circles.
I love the stars
things.
on it. I'm a '90s kid.
He's a cool
Big
little
fan.
guy. I love him. He's just our little character and kind of our personality. And
For
you
sure.
know,
You guys should get one like a mascot.
we want
Like
one of
with-
those black latex suits.
Yeah. Wait.
So
wait.
bad.
Like a like a Green Man
Yeah.
suit. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be tight with like the
head.
stars on
But
it.
like the big, I want to put like a big head.
Yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah.
a big like plush head.
like a
Yeah,
big
yeah.
head, and then like somebody's skinny little
Oh,
body, and one of those tight. Like,
Yeah, dude.
And I, for some reason, I'm just imagining like long fingers too, like almost like
that'd be
alien
Like
looking.
Slender Man. Like,
Slender Man, like salad fingers.
yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so before we get into the beer laws, I have to tell you something.
Sure.
You know, like lately we've been talking about like doing something big.
Sure.
Well, guess what?
Oh, you fucker! You did it without me.
I got my nipples pierced yesterday.
Oh. I was like, what just happened? The big thing was we raised our shirt up on air.
Look, I have boobs. No, dude, okay, like, so we've been joking. This has been like an inside joke.
Yeah, we've been joking about getting piercings for a while as a joke, kind of half jokey.
It came up a few weeks, a month ago, and we had a party for my friend over here, and the kind of the running joke of the night, like, I was like, I'm gonna get my nipples pierced, and my wife was like, "Why, you freak?" Like, no, and so this joke kind of manifested itself in my brain, and so I've been thinking about it. I haven't had anything pierced on my body since I was 20 years old.
Yeah, but when you were 20 years old, you had a lot.
I had a
of them.
bunch. I had a bunch in high school. I had a bunch in college, at the beginning of college. But so I'm thinking about it, and it's this thing where it's like festering in my mind, and I'm like, I want to do it. I want to do it. I want to face my fear. So I'm reading up on it. I'm thinking about it. Like even when I was thinking about it, I'd start to get nervous and like red, you know. So okay, I'm driving home from work yesterday, and I'm driving down 23rd Street. Where do I go? Mystical Illusions.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
If I'm
you
gonna
did.
do it, I'm gonna do it right.
If
You
you're gonna
went
get a
saw-
trash your body
you-
piercing, you're gonna get done.
Yeah.
Probably.
I'm not going to
Jody
23rd.
and the family.
I saw them all, man.
Yes.
And they saw all of me. But
That is
so,
awesome.
So okay, I'm driving home and I'm thinking about it. I'm like driving down 23rd on the way to my house, and I'm like, am I gonna do it? I was like, I know what I'll do. I'm gonna pop in and I'm gonna get some information just to kind of see how much it costs, how long it's gonna take. Do I have to make an appointment?
Sure.
I don't know. So I walk in, or no, wait, let me back up a little bit. So I'm sitting in traffic. There's a city bus in front of me dropping
Sure.
somebody off. There's actually a park or a bus bench right in front of Mystical Illusions. And I'm sitting there in traffic, and I'm like, I'm not going to do it. I pussed out.
Yeah.
And I look up and I see the Mystical Illusions sign, and underneath where there's like where you can change out the words and stuff, it says piercings quicker than traffic.
The sign from God.
I took it as a sign.
Hey, back to God.
Back to
From
God.
Gad.
Big ups. Big ups.
So I was just about to puss out, and I was like, fuck it. And I threw my blinker on, and I pulled in. And so I walk in. I'm like, I'm just going to get some information. Just going to see. So I walk in. And
So you total dadded it. Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Just
Get
gonna,
some information, and you were from work, so you're
wanna
probably
ask a
wearing
couple
work.
questions.
I had these pants on and these boots, and I had like a polo shirt on. I wasn't. I
Gonna
don't
get
have
some
to.
information for a piercing.
Yeah, I don't have to dress super dad for work,
No.
but I do have to wear like a collar or whatever. So I walk in, and the piercer that was on
Duty?
On duty?
a piercer on duty, POD. Great band. Great
Oh
man.
man.
He's a nice guy, but he was super just like nonchalant. So I walk in and I'm nervous, like my palms are fucking sweaty and clammy at the same time. And I'm like, yes, 2 nipple rings, please. No,
2 nips, please.
no. I walk in, I was like, I just want to get some information. And he's like, well, yeah, what do you want to get pierced? And then I get to that moment where I was like, I have to say my nipples?
My nipple.
Yeah.
It's so weird. And
Both
so,
of them.
Yeah, not just one. That's 80s, dude.
Two of them.
Just the one.
I'm not in WASP.
Does it
Okay.
only have to be the left one?
Which one?
If you only get one done?
Yeah.
Like the ears?
Yeah, maybe. Or is it backwards? Is
I
it
don't
like,
even know. Yeah, it cancels the other one out.
So I asked. Yeah, well, it's like a weight distribution.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I'd like to look into a piercing. And he's like, oh, what do you want, man? And I was like, my nipples.
My nipples.
Nibs. And he's like, oh yeah. And I was like, and I was scared, and I was like, I'm not gonna do this. And I asked how much it was, and I was like, well, do you guys is it cash only? What's the deal? He's like, oh, got ATM right there. So this guy's making it hard for me to puss out. you
Yeah.
know? He shows me the jewelry, and I was like, yeah, man, I really want to do it. It's something I've actually wanted this for a long time, and he was basically just like, whatever, like take it or leave it.
Okay.
Like, the dude's seen a million nips, you know?
Yeah.
And so I finally, I was just like, fuck it, I'm doing it. So I went to the ATM that was in the store. I got the money out. And so he filled out the little paperwork and he leads me back to the table. And I always thought that when you get a piercing like that they would use like surgical clamps, like to pull the skin, like those, like the scissors with like the hoops
And
on
then
the end.
punch the thing through.
You
right.
would,
Right.
You would think they would.
No, this guy free-handed that shit.
Just grabbed. Did he had gloves on?
Of course, it was a great experience.
Did he? Well, first he licked it first. And then,
He disrobed, tweaked.
he put his dick on me. I
Yeah.
thought that was a little weird.
No, so he's like, all right, man, take your shirt off. And I was like, okay. And I'm like fucking nervous. Like, I was beat red. Like my arms had red splotches all over them. My nips were just, they were like running back into my body. Like, no. So he's like, all right, man, just take a couple minutes. No big deal. And so like he marks on each side of each nip with a little pen. And then he's like, all right, man, lay down. And so I lay on the table and he does the right one first. And he goes, all right, man, take a deep breath. And I go, and he goes, exhale really slowly. And I'm like, and then I start to feel it. And dude, it fucking hurts so bad. Let me rephrase that. The first one hurt. It hurt. You could feel it going through and like you could feel the pop.
Yeah.
And then he got it through and then he put the barbell through. And I was like, okay. And I even said out loud, I was like, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. You know, because I really thought it was going to be even worse. But boy, then Lefty came around.
Oh.
And that one was a little tougher. And not my nipple, the experience.
Yeah.
And then I just remember, like, I didn't want to scream, but like I was biting the inside of my mouth and I just go, which was horrible. But so that happened, you know, he put the little beads on the end. I'm fucking beat red.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I can get red.
Sure.
That's just my complexion. Beat red. So I stand up and I'm just like fucking lightheaded. I was like,
hold me. You know, hold me moment.
I didn't. But he goes, you all right, man? And I was like, yeah, I just need some water. And so I sit down, like, because I was like, I need to like catch my breath for a second. So it was a very exhilarating experience. So then anyways, I tip the guy, I walk out, I get in my car, and before I even put my keys in the ignition, I put my fists in little balls and I go, I did it.
I did it.
Did it.
Yeah, man.
I said it twice. The thing is, it's not so much that this is done, whatever, but I fucking faced a fear. And I did it. And I haven't faced a real fear in a while. Like a real fear. Like something exhilarating.
Yeah.
I've been, like I've said a million times, I've been in this fucking comfort zone for a while. And I was so proud of myself. And so I come home and I show my wife. And she's just like, oh my God, you did it. Oh my God. And she's fine with it, whatever.
Was she proud of you for doing it?
She was proud yet ashamed.
Yeah. If that, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, sure.
Got your nipples pierced.
It was sweet though. She
like
goes,
a big boy.
Yeah, like a big boy.
Because I had talked to her about it.
Got my nipples pierced like a big boy.
Oh, trust me, I've been showing these beauties off. But when I first brought it up to her, she thought I was joking. So she's like, oh, shut up. You know, and then I was like, no, I want to do it. I want to do it. And then she's like, no, that's trashy. Don't. You're too old. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm young at heart. Who cares? Nobody's going to see it anyways. So finally, I broke her. And she was like, oh, fucking just do it. Just shut up about it, you know, calling bullshit on me. But when I
So you just
presented,
step up to the plate.
I did. And
Yeah.
I fucking did it.
But I'm glad you
Home
did
run.
it. You did it. You didn't plan. You didn't day of fun plan it out.
No.
You're like, I'm just gonna do it. The moment hits you, you're gonna do it. We almost did it the other day when we were driving around. Just we're gonna pull in and just get a fucking because I want to get my nose pierced. Never had it pierced. Thought it'd be cool to get my nose pierced.
I mean, we're 34, 35 years
Why
old.
not
Why
be
not?
a 34-year-old out of touch fucking piece of shit and get a fucking nose piercing?
I just wanted these to be healed before we went on the 311 cruise.
That's true. You gotta have those healed up. You got a year. You're good.
Takes about 6 months.
Takes about 6 months. Does it really?
Yeah.
So what do they say? No licking, no sucking.
Right.
No twisting.
No tweaking, no twisting.
No clamps.
No.
No.
I had to put those
No
back
So your
in.
shock
sex life
therapy.
is fucked.
You're
No.
screwed, man. No biting.
Well, but this coming from a man who had his dick pierced, right?
When I was young, yeah.
That would have to have been
jeez.
awful, though.
It wasn't.
Like no jerking, no fuck. Like, how do you live your life as a fucking young man?
Well, I'll tell you how, because I grew up in church, so I didn't lose
So
my.
I wasn't anyway.
I wasn't.
Yeah,
I didn't lose.
I wasn't doing that anyway.
I didn't lose my virginity till I was 22. I got my tallywhacker pierced when I was 18.
Yeah, but I mean, like boners had to hurt, like erections.
No, not really. No, because the funny thing is like when you have a cut and a piece of steel through your penis, you don't really get boners at first because it hurts. So you're not gonna get them.
Ow.
I wasn't having sex back then, but I'll tell you what sucked: dry humping. Did a lot of that.
Oh no!
I ended up taking it out because I was dating.
You flip it to midnight and dry hump, right?
Well, I had the frenum done, which is like underneath.
Yeah, I know. So I'm saying when you flip the dick to
like the
midnight and you do
ladder?
the dry hump, like that's rubbing right on that.
Yeah.
That ain't good.
Like the
Like-
ladder rung piece? Like
Right, like underneath,
Like right underneath that, like
right behind the helmet.
fuck that.
I actually ended up taking it out because I was dating a lesbian who all we would do is dry hump. Come to find out later, she was a lesbian.
Oh, I was like,
didn't
wait
know
a
that.
second.
No, come to find out
Okay,
much later.
You didn't know at the time. All right.
Right.
That makes it more sense now.
And yeah, so that was my story, and I wanted to surprise you.
Dude, that's fucking awesome. I'm
told,
so glad you did that.
I told my wife tonight, I was like, don't mention anything because I want to tell Josh on the air.
That's so fucking great. Now I gotta go get my fucking nose pierced.
I'm just the weirdest, through all the metal, through all the breweries, through all the everything that I do. No tattoos, no piercings.
Yeah, you would assume like a
Zero.
dude like you would have like either sleeves or maybe the kind of guy would have a tattoo mysteriously placed somewhere.
None. Zip.
Just never.
Just never cared.
Yeah.
It's like, what am I gonna get?
If you think about it,
I don't
if
know.
you break it down, get down to brass tacks of it, you're spending a shitload of money to be in pain for a few minutes.
Yeah.
So you have something that looks really cool on you for a few years, and then it starts to fade. And then what you got to do, you got to pay again to get pain a little more.
Yeah.
I still love I have a few. I love tattoos. There's still a part of me that really wants that, like, 2 sleeves.
Yeah.
Sure.
But then you
Yeah.
gotta, like, when you're younger, we've talked about this before. If somebody would have given me $20,000 at 18 or 19 and
For
said,
tattoos.
yeah, you can only get tattoos, I would regret every single fucking one I would have put on my body. It would have been like spider webs and microphones and music
Flames
notes.
coming from
Flames.
your wrists.
Yeah. The Lincoln Parks.
Yes.
Yeah.
That shit.
Yeah, I drew that.
You drew that. But that's the thing. I have 3 tattoos, and all of them mean something, and they're all shitty. They're all terrible tattoos. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, a piercing's different. You can take that out, and you're good.
I love tattoos. I think they're gorgeous pieces of art.
They're amazing.
I think they're beautiful.
They're great.
Absolutely.
I just don't have any.
I went through a phase where I got a bunch in a short amount. Not a bunch. I have like 8 or 9. But
Couple.
Yeah. But then you get the ones you regret. And
Just kidding.
I got this tattoo
For that reason.
Just
kidding.
I got this tattoo.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah, I have a JK on my arm, and I got this tattoo back when I thought I wasn't buying the van for the band. I was buying the van, so to speak, because I wanted to be a stand-up comedian. And I did
All
a couple shows. I wrote a set. I was like all in. I was like, fuck being in a band. This is so much better. And so I got this tattoo as a joke, like on a whim. We had like this inside joke going in our little circle of friends that we were all going to get these, but I was the only one dumb enough to get it. And yeah, so I don't regret it. I'm not going to cover it up. And it's
there it
whatever.
is.
Yeah, there it is. And it's badly done. It's like,
there it is.
it's badly done.
there it
It's-
is.
It's blotchy. It's
good.
fading.
It's good.
Hey, looks great.
But
That's
yeah,
the
like
point. Isn't that the point
You
of
know
them?
what you don't have
What's
is
that?
a tribal band.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Because
That's-
that was the hotness when we were kids.
Oh, my Lord.
Or like the Kerry King tribal arm
Yes,
piece that
the
takes up
whole
like
thing.
your entire
Yes.
arm. And I was the same way. I remember being in high school and like being really into like tattoo culture before I even had one.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Like Flash magazine and stuff? Yeah.
drawing, Flash, aspiring. I wanted to be a tattoo artist like for a long time. And I remember somebody asking me like, hey man, like I was like, yeah, I got all my tattoos planned out. I know what I want. And I was like, all right, on my left arm, I want a tiger. And I want this tiger to be crawling up a volcano. And I want lava to be going down, and it's all going to be red and orange, right?
Yeah.
And then on this arm, I want a white tiger. Oh, no. And this white tiger is going to be completely out of his element, and he's going to be on glaciers. And there's going to be ice and water, and this one's going to be all white and blue. And then in the back, they're going to be fighting. And I was like, like you were saying, Josh, thank God I was poor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good thing you didn't have any money.
See, I had an idea like that when I was in my early 20s, and this was probably 2004. The height of the sideways belt, the swoop hair.
The
you know
emo.
what I mean?
Yeah, the emo
time. And I wanted to get, and at this time I was super fucking skinny, like deathly ill skinny. I wanted to get on my right side, coming from my hips up to like my chest, like bats. And then on the other side, I wanted to get doves. Ooh. So glad I didn't get that.
Jeez.
So glad. I mean, I'm so glad I wouldn't have the money to do that. It's fucking dumb. There's that stupid tattoo, but I'm sure someone out there has it. And if you do, God bless you.
Yeah.
Oh, you remember the fads too of everybody getting like pistols tattooed like they were
Yeah.
going.
Totally.
Or like the girls who got like stars on their hips, still fucking sexy.
Still stars everywhere.
Is it?
Still around?
Is it? If you're in shape, it's fine.
Yeah. If you haven't had any kids, it looks great, right?
If they're still stars.
Still stars and they're not the universe.
Yeah, then it's great. Then you're good. Are we gonna get to beer laws, or are we
Yeah.
just?
Hey, we like talking about
Hey, well,
stuff.
what tattoos goes into? It took Oklahoma for fucking ever.
When
to
was
get,
the legal year?
for tattoos?
Yeah, 08? 06?
No.
It was what? It seems like it was right around the time the Thunder came here.
08.
Maybe like a year before or after, somewhere in there, but
Yeah.
right around that
I
time.
thought it was 08. I was
Yeah,
thinking.
and
That
then-
sounds about right.
But then you start seeing that they just popped up.
Sure.
And what you knew about that was there were already people doing it.
oh,
I mean,
I can name.
my
I got
tattoos
every-
are, yeah.
I have every tattoo I have except one I got illegally. What's that?
Mystical illusions.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
It was under the table. They had a door. Allegedly.
Yes.
Allegedly.
It was there. I know.
Well, like 23rd Street was one of the first ones that just conveniently had a tattoo place.
Had it
Oh, that
already
shit
ready to
popped up
go.
quick.
That's real weird how you
Yeah.
just got that. But it took us so long to get that, and then it was no fucking big deal. I think it's going back to the whole God thing. Like we're the buckle, the Bible Belt state. So it takes us forever to get anything that's cool. And now that like that's kind of like a dying out thing. Not dying out. It's just not as popular. There was like a boom. There was a tattoo boom, and
Tattoos.
yeah,
Casinos.
casinos.
And now we're working
And
on
now
beer.
we're working with it's fucking beer, man. It's not like it's
Beer.
like, hey, we got to get heroin in Oklahoma. No, it's beer. It's shit we drink all the time.
Well, the thing that really weirds me out is you can buy the beer, it just can't be cold.
Just we don't want you to drink it as soon as you go outside because we know you just can't police yourselves.
I don't drink Miller Lite when I buy that.
Right.
You know, like I don't go to my car and go, oh God, this precious Miller Lite, and like
I'll go to the
slam it
gas
down.
Still put it in the
and just-
fridge.
Yeah. I still want to take it home.
So what does that have to do with Anthem, and how does that affect you guys?
Well, there's several laws that are in place, and a lot of it and it's all zoned off. So there's grocery stores, there's gas stations, there's liquor stores, and then there's breweries. It all has a different piece of kind of legislature that rules all of that.
Right.
So, and then there's wineries too. Don't forget about them.
Oh yeah, we've had a couple of those come and go.
Yeah, there's a few, but they have very favorable legislation. Wineries have a lot of things that they can do that the rest of us can't do. They can sell their product right at their winery to people when they come in, buy the bottle, buy the drink, buy
yeah.
whatever. They can sell at festivals. Like if people go out and you're at some kind of festival, you
Arts
can buy.
festival.
Yeah, if you're at the
You
arts
can buy
fest,
a bottle of wine.
you can
right
buy
there.
a bottle of wine right there. You can't do that with anything from a brewery.
Which is weird because I don't know about you guys, but I've gotten pretty fucked up on a bottle of wine.
Yeah, how much stronger is wine than beer?
And how, like I can sit down and have a few delicious Anthem Arjunas and feel good.
Yeah.
But if I had 3 12-ounce glasses of wine,
Yeah.
I would be like loving you guys and
Yeah.
like wanting to go to bed.
With
I mean,
frankly.
we can still.
We can do
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The night is young.
Yeah, that's that's kind of the imbalance.
So you guys fall into the brewery category.
Sure.
But
brew,
also
brew pubs are also the other side of that. So
Sure,
another
sure.
split on these things.
What's an example of a brew pub? Is that
Like Bricktown Brewery
Okay.
or like Belle Isle
Belle Isle,
Brewery
yeah.
or
But
some
see,
of those.
I was always. I mean, again, I bartended for a bit. It was in the realm in that category. I guess I still kind of do. So I was always under the impression that Bricktown Brewery and these brew pubs, all of their beers are still technically 3.2 beers.
They are.
Like they can't brew anything over a certain percentage, and that goes back to our dumb dated liquor laws.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So they can do that, and they can brew there on site, and they can make 4% beer. They can have food, which we can't do.
Yeah.
So they have food, but they also have like their bar side that has a liquor license and sells like our beer in there too. So it's all just kind of split off within that building. I don't know how all that works. But
Yeah, it's really weird.
No, no, I'll tell you how it works. There's an imaginary line on the ground,
Right.
Dude, okay.
where you
Yeah.
can go take shots and get completely obliterated, but you
Right.
can't have a
No,
good
no, no.
craft
You can't have a beer.
and food.
At that specific location, the Bricktown the Belle Isle Brewery is one. There's an imaginary line not only for booze but for smoking. There's a smoking section and then a non-smoking section. Have you been to the new? Well, it's not new. It's been there for
Well,
a few
I guess
years
they
now.
expanded though, right?
They expanded, and it's the same. There's no glass. There's no. It's just so.
But you can't take your cigarette across that
can't
line.
take your cigarette
But you can
across the
stand
line.
at the
Smoke.
line and blow it across
can you
the
blow
line.
it across
Yeah,
over to those
that's-
people like me
it's-
who don't want to breathe it?
It seems that our state is so backwards, and a lot of the things that we're doing, and there's. I've had the conversation with Robbie, with my wife, with friends, with coworkers. Like, there's nothing keeping our state from being fucking cool as shit. It's super cheap to live here.
It is.
We have every landscape you want in the country in our state. You can have a desert, like there's so many cool things about this state.
hills,
rivers,
hills, rivers.
We've got some little mountains.
It is beautiful.
tiny, but we got 'em.
Hey, it's just a great state or what?
It is.
It's a great state, but we can't get our liquor laws straight. We can't get anything. So, where do you think it's going? Didn't they just shoot down that?
No. We can cover that.
Okay.
though.
He's gonna
Not-
shoot us straight.
All right. So here's where we're sitting right now. So the end of the legislative session for 2016 is in May.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So we're going to finish up all the rule writing, the law writing, all these things that need to change for for the year or whatever to go into law. So what we've got sitting out there right now are several bills that cover alcohol laws. There's a couple. So it gets really confusing because there's multiple things out there.
Yeah.
So one of them is SB 424. That covers brewery tap rooms alone.
Okay.
So
what like you guys are doing?
yeah, this will cover us
Okay.
and like any of the other guys, out in our state, which we've got multiple breweries, out here. So what that looks like right now is that last year that bill was being pushed through. That we were trying to get to this point last year where we were going to change all these alcohol laws, and it got to be where everything kind of became this big, huge, comprehensive change, and they were just like, we can't do this without sitting down and looking at it. So we need like a year.
Right.
So they killed everything and kind of set it down. So now we've come back around, and now we're getting ready to finish up what this year's legislative session will be by the end of this month. So we need to have some things happen, and nothing has really happened. It's all just been kind of sitting there getting muddled around, and they've kicked around all these different bills. So we've got, I think, 3 that are sitting out there. One that's just like tap rooms, and then one that's like
There's one
everything.
There's one for like refrigerated beer. 'Cause
Yeah.
I know my favorite liquor store. That sounds so fucking boozy to say.
Yeah, what a douche.
I know. No, like there's a liquor store in my neighborhood that I go to every now and then, not every day, but they've expanded
with the idea
that possibly there's gonna
Yeah.
be we have to refrigerate beer. We need a refrigerated section. So
where we're at on those is we've got the one that just like covers tap rooms.
Right.
We've got another like SB, like we've got SB 424. There's another one that's SB 383, which is like comprehensive to everything.
Sure.
And then there's SJR 68, which is Senate Joint Resolution, I believe, if I'm saying that right. And that is also kind of like a comprehensive change.
Okay.
So these all have steps that kind of go into them.
Right.
So if SB 424, which is tap rooms only, passes like this month, and they say, okay, yeah, we're going to go ahead and enact this thing, and we're going to get it done, it's an unconstitutional law against the state of, the Oklahoma State Constitution.
Yeah.
Because our alcohol laws are all kind of fitted in there and everything. So it's an unconstitutional change that they may just enact anyway and just go with it. That effective date will be like July 1st of this year.
right.
So
And-
that's quick. I
right.
mean, we're 45
that
days
law
away.
that law lets you guys
sell full strength
Sell
beer,
full-strength beer, yeah.
in our tap rooms,
Okay.
which we can't do currently. We can only sell 4% beer in our tap
But you can
rooms.
sample
But you can
those.
sample full strength up to 12 ounces for free.
Okay.
So if this enacts and they get it all done by the end of this month, tap rooms in Oklahoma will go full strength. So we'll be able to sell you all of our products and everything by the pint, by the glass, whatever. Probably, as far as I understand it, growlers as well to take home,
So
and
how's
do
it
that.
looking?
It looks good from
Okay.
what I understand. This
Good.
is probably going to go through and this is going to happen.
That'd
so
be
we're
awesome.
45 days away from a major, major change in the state of Oklahoma.
Well, and that's huge for your company.
It's huge
Yeah,
for
definitely.
our industry.
Yeah, totally.
Not just my company, but our industry and altogether. You're
Or
going
our state in general.
Yeah, our state altogether. If this flips, I mean, you're going to see breweries pop up everywhere. I mean, it's going to take a year or so because the approval process and everything takes
Right.
that long. But if this passes by next summer, there could be breweries all over the place.
Well, and it sounds
It's
like
huge.
it would give people who are kind of on the fence about starting one here.
Yeah, and they'll go ahead and do it.
They'll either do, instead of moving out of state, they'll do
right.
it here, or it might even attract people from Texas.
Some of that's
Missouri.
happening already.
Yeah.
Some of that's happening already.
Cool.
There are people here already who have left national breweries who are in Oklahoma right now.
Yeah.
And they're
again,
just
like I was
waiting
saying-
because they know it's coming.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the wave is coming, and like I said earlier, like it's a much more economical place to
do
be.
business.
Your rent or your how much you're going to pay for the land where you're going to put your
right.
brewery.
Yeah.
That's all going to be so
much less
cheaper.
than anywhere else.
Well,
Yeah.
think if the Anthem headquarters was in Denver.
Oh yeah,
Shit.
on astronomical.
I mean,
prices.
I'm not going to throw a number out because I have no idea, but I would imagine it would be double, triple, maybe.
yes, but the laws there are so much more relaxed that we could just make money.
Right.
You can make so much money.
Yeah.
I mean, what you'll see, probably what will be the start of things here. If this change happens, what you'll see people start to do is open up breweries with very small systems that don't cost a whole lot of money to get going. And what you do is you create a beer, you brew a beer, and you immediately put it on tap in your tap room.
Cool.
You don't package it, you don't bottle it, you don't keg it out and sell it out all over the place.
Yeah.
You just take it and put it on draft inside.
And that's it.
And that's it.
That's all you have.
Yeah.
That's
You
kind of
create
genius.
a beer,
That's super genius.
and then you flip it right into your tap room.
yeah.
Money.
And then you build up from there.
Instant money.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Insta money. And if you're on just like a little itty bitty system, you can just turn out beers.
So it's
by the
essentially like
tons.
your friend who does a home brew in his garage, except you can do it on a much larger scale and just sell it to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
So when you're home brewing, a lot of times you're making beer at like 5 to 10 gallons.
Right.
If you get a brew system that's one barrel, which ours is 15 barrels, a barrel of beer is 31 gallons. So you instantly go from like a 5 to 10 gallon homebrew batch and you get a 1 barrel brewing system, which is tiny. You're instantly already at 31 gallons. So what you do is just make those. And
Yeah.
you make those a couple times and bam, you've got, a full set of beers to put on draft. And you don't have to spend the money to get it out into packaging and into all
distribution
that.
and all that, yeah.
All you do is
And the
turn it into
machinery that
kegs
goes
and you
along
just
with
bonk.
that,
Yeah.
like the pack. Like I noticed when we were walking around Anthem, like the conveyor belts
the
and
machines.
the
So yeah, you
machines,
guys
yeah.
do all that in house, right?
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
all
we
your that is
can, we
so
bottle, we keg,
awesome.
we do the whole thing ourselves.
That is so cool.
So yeah.
Well, we got to wrap up soon, but I was going to ask you lastly, like, so what's the future? Like, what's on the horizon for Anthem?
Right now, we're looking at expansion a little bit. We opened Kansas this past week, so that's our first jump over the Oklahoma borders into a
You
new
mean
market.
distribution
Yeah,
there? Okay.
distribution-wise. So now we're sending beer to Kansas. So that's a new thing. We're working on North Texas right now, so that'll be kind of hopefully our next territory that we step into. We've got a little bit of preliminary agreements going and everything. We've just got to get a lot of paperwork done and
Right.
everything, and then hopefully we're distributing into the northern counties of Texas. So that's big for us, opening up those territories. If this law flips, that's going to be a huge taproom investment,
Yeah,
probably
for sure.
for us.
Right.
So next thing up would probably be expansion in brewing hours, which will go to several brewing shifts possibly, which we may need to do that already with the
Right.
states that we're opening up, things like that. And addition of staff members probably is what's on the future for us right now. And a couple more beers. We've got some things coming where we're going to add to our yearly canned line, which we have 4 beers right now. So we're going to a 5th, hopefully by July.
Cool.
So
Well, it's funny because I'm looking to break out of the cubicle. So will you give me a job right now? Just kidding.
I would definitely allow you to come in and talk to us. That's for sure.
All right, you heard it here first.
Yeah.
No, it's really cool though. I think that this happening is like, I don't know. Did you think when you were touring with this band, like, did you think that you'd be doing this?
No.
And that's
No.
beautiful.
Yeah.
The last things I ever thought I would be when I was in high school would be, touring with a metal band and now working at a craft brewery in Oklahoma. Those were never things that were in my mind.
Craft brewery in Oklahoma was like, that's
it's
never
like,
going to
that
happen.
didn't exist at all.
The next thing you're saying,
But-
they're going to do tattoos. That's insane. Or I could pierce my nipples.
Even by the time I was getting out
can.
of like college, this isn't what I thought I was going to be doing.
Right.
I went to college for sports medicine. I've got a bachelor's in sports science and sports medicine, and had the band thing, which was just out of the blue, something I never thought I'd be
Yeah.
doing. And then, when I got out of school, I couldn't wait to just sit down and have an office job and, thought that was the future of my life. Can't wait to get into a corporate job and have a 401k and all
That's what
these
you're told to do,
things,
right?
And I thought that was the greatest thing that ever happened to me.
Well, and not to completely shit on that, because there are perks of that.
Sure.
Like, I remember when I was younger and working these jobs that were tough. Like, I was hot. It was hard work. It's like, God, I'd love to sit behind a desk. And like, I've done my job for so long. I'm a great employee. I'm very efficient. I come in, I get my shit done. I'm friendly with the other people there. I get to tab over to Reddit every now and then. Like, I got my headphones on. I get to listen to music or podcasts or whatever. I don't feel like it's a grass is always greener. I just feel like I just need to get out in the fucking sunshine a little bit and like stand up.
Yeah,
I find myself taking walks at work a lot.
Sure.
Like just getting out of my desk, getting out the front door,
Sure.
and going for like a 10, 15-minute walk just to get some fresh air.
I should just go walk around the building.
Yeah.
I just couldn't take it. I was like, I had to get up and go walk laps
Yeah.
around the other departments. I had to go see people.
Yeah.
I can't take this anymore.
But you know what?
I gotta get out of here.
It's only a matter of time before that gets old.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're a creature, like you're an animal, like you have to expand, you have to get out and adventure a little bit. And again, that's that recurring theme on this show is I feel like I'm like teetering on that line, like, because with my degree, I feel like I'm like banned to a desk the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Not
dude,
so
I gotta do something big.
You don't have to do that.
You're right. And and I know I've said it like 15 times on the podcast, but that's just where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
But I got to make money. I got to pay the fucking mortgage.
Some of those things that like one of the jokes that we make around Anthem is how many guys with college degrees does it take to make beer? Because there's a lot of us.
Yeah.
There's several of us
Right.
who have got bachelor's degrees in just myriad subjects, and we're all just
None pertaining to beer.
No, none pertaining to beer. Zero beer training.
Yeah.
And we all just left the world and we're just like, we can't do this anymore.
That's the way to do it, man.
We
That's
love
the way
it.
to do it.
It's awesome.
Ben, thanks so much for coming
Thanks for
on,
coming
man.
on, man.
It's
Thank
been-
you guys for having me. This was a lot of fun.
It's been a
Hell
great
yeah.
conversation. Yeah.
Good
And again,
times.
anthembrewing.com. And
right.
thanks again for the beer. You were gracious enough to bring over quite a few. And
absolutely.
We've had a couple shows so far, and the guests are enjoying them, and it's great little publicity, one person at a time.
All right.
So thanks.
Dig it. Thank you.